Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Tuesday, the 5th of November 2019, and we are reporting that China is on the verge of launching its own domestic digital currency. So let's investigate. For many months, we have been signposting, albeit surreptitiously, the oncoming digital currency onslaught. For example, on the 25th of September of this year, we produced a video entitled, "Will an economic collapse lead to a gold standard or a digital currency solution?" On the 15th of August, we produced a video podcast entitled, "Is a cashless society closer than you think?" And on the 30th of May of this year, we produced a YouTube video entitled Blockchain Technology, the Future for Currencies and Financial Services. Now, in case you haven't already listened to these, we've placed links in the description box below. Now, in each of these videos, we have suggested that whilst a digital currency is ultimately inevitable, it would be a little time, that is, a few years, before it would be introduced. This was working on how Western banks and countries operate, and ironically, how their political structure is conducted. That is it a democracy or a totalitarian regime? We have known for a little over 3 years that China has been working on its own digital currency to be used domestically, and at some stage in the relatively near future. You see, when President Xi was made president for life, this meant that he could sanction a number of initiatives without fear of removal and against what could be unpopular support. One of the major objections in the West against a digital currency is that it could easily lead to an infringement of civil liberties, especially if there's no alternative, something which is difficult for democracies to accept, which is why the likes of Apple Pay, PayPal, online banking, Bitcoin, Libra, etc. have been introduced, gradually edging us in that direction. Now, in China, it's different. China is used to authoritarian control and broadly obeying the rules, and therefore it makes sense to introduce such a system into its own economy. Now, China's central bank has recently come clean, as it were, and has begun to reveal what those at the top of the international banking community has known for some time. It has announced that it has been working these past 5 years on a digital electronic payment project, or DCEP for short. What it has also highlighted is that although it is based on blockchain technology, doorways have been created to allow the central bank to have oversight of money flows. That is, to track and supervise the movement of currency, the very thing which libertarians in the democratic West rally against. China makes it clear that these are essential to protect its capital borders and prevent the misuse of illegal cash flows, that is, money laundering. To bankers, this makes sense, and to politicians likewise. And is also important that if one converts from physical cash to digital money, there also has to be control over the creation of that money supply. Otherwise, hyperinflation will occur through the back door, as it were. If central banks were unaware of where the money is coming from, or even perhaps illegally created, it makes such abuse of a system that much easier. Now, we admit it's a little ironic in that banks already create a degree of arguably uncontrollable credit, but even they have some rules to conform to. The question on everyone's lips, of course, is when is this currency to be launched? Well, Reuters today quote two opposing views. One, the head of the Chinese Central Bank's Digital Currency Research Institute, Mu Changchun, told a public forum in August that, quote, it was almost ready. While the head of the central bank, Yi Gang, said in September there was, quote, no timetable for its rollout, unquote. Well, we can state that it will be soon, and our best estimate is mid-2020 to early 2021. China is seriously concerned about the launch of alternative platforms such as Libra and Bitcoin as examples. It sees it to be imperative that they can control their own currency and will do all that it can to prevent competitor blockchain technologies to infiltrate its economic system. Easier said than done, we admit, but easier under a controlled totalitarian state. This pressure of competing systems will push China to adopt their systems sooner rather than later. The technology already exists. China, though, has to focus on two main aspects. One, how it will be taken politically. To be frank, we don't see this as a major problem within its own borders. And two, such a system may very well mean that individual bank accounts with differing banks may not be necessary, as everything could be centralized. The authorities will have to deal with the implications this may have on the banking community, and this is, based on our conversations with Chinese bankers, the only true delaying factor, as well, of course, as ensuring the systems are in place to deal with such an arrangement. Now, just as a heads up for listeners to remember in the months and years to come, China is now likely to be the first country in the world to issue sovereign digital currency, and it will be watched very closely by other countries. The intention is to have sovereign digital currencies rolled out throughout Western economies in the mid to latter part of the 2020s, and the prospect of a global digital currency once these have been installed, tested and verified. Now, we accept that many believe that a global currency is imminent. We can say without any fear of contradiction that it isn't. Yes, there is a project working on it, and yes, there may be a gradual rollout of one. But one to be introduced overnight in the next couple of years is not going to happen. However, that said, as each day passes, we are drawing nearer towards sovereign digital currencies. To add some spice to this podcast and for deeper thought, Max Kaiser has been interviewed recently on RT television stating that China has amassed 20,000 tons of gold and will announce the launch of a gold-backed cryptocurrency in the near future to further undercut the dollar. He believes that a weakening dollar will benefit both the price of gold and Bitcoin as investors turn to safe haven assets to avoid the uncertainty of fiat. Now, we will talk more on this in a future video. But for interest, what do you think? Will China's new digital currency be gold-backed? Do share your thoughts. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.